Hey guys, it's Icon Reaction. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Junko Furuta. It is considered one of the worst cases in Japan's history still to this day. It is just an absolute, it is a travesty. Just truly one of the worst examples of human just evil in its just purest form to me. So buck up, guys. It's going to be one of a ride. A warning for people who are squeamish. There will be I will be going into much detail as I possibly can with YouTube's whole thing, whole guidelines and everything. So for people who are squeamish, I would suggest you don't watch. So this is the warning now. But yeah, if you guys enjoy it, make sure to strangle the like button, torture the subscribe button, and maybe decapitate the share button a little bit. Just just get out there. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and let's get into it. I hope you guys enjoy. Junko Furuta was born in Masaido, Saitama Prefects, with her parents, her older brother and younger brother. She went to Yashiro Minamai High School. Hope I'm pronouncing all this stuff right. I apologize if I do mispronounce stuff. Where she was world popular. She was light bar classmate. She had high grades, so she was a smart girl, and she was very few absences. Unlike me, my absence in school. If you were in that club, raise your hand. But she was pretty popular, and she was also known. She would say she wanted to become a singer. Like most girls, want to be famous. Want that dream life, that money. She worked at a plastic manufacturer after school to save money for a graduation trip, and she also had accepted a job for a electric retarder after she graduated. So she pretty much had like her life planned out. She was popular. She apparently, of course, she didn't smoke. She didn't do drugs. She didn't do alcohol or anything like that. She wasn't a bad kid. She was a girl she was a bright girl. She was very pretty. Had a good head on her shoulders, and was looking forward to her life. And unfortunately, she would never have that life because on November 25th, 1988, things would change. Where she on a bike ride home would meet the perpetrators in this case. Uh, first is Hiroshi Minato. Uh, he is 18 years old. He was considered the leader of the little bastards of the little group. There was also Joe Agora or Joe Kamasuki, which he ends up changing his name to. There was Shinji Minato, Yasuru Watanabe. Again, I hope I'm saying that. Right. Watanabe. I think Watanabe. Tetsuro Nakamura and Koichi Ohara. These were the main guys involved in the case. Actually, the main four friends were just Hiroshi, Joe, Shinji, Yasure, Tetsuro, and Koichi came in later. But in record the four originals were known as A, B, C, and D, and Tetsuro was known as Tetsuro and Koichi were E and F respectfully. Now, before we get into this, let's give a little backstory on the so-called leader. Hiroshi had a very bad behavior since middle school. He shoplifted and he damaged school property. Like shoplifting, at middle school, this kid was just a rotten egg from out the gate, bro. In April 1986, in 1986 he was put in private high school in Tokyo, but dropped out the following year. We committed several crimes that got worse over time, which I don't know why, nobody didn't see the signs. This guy should have been, in jail since he was a child, juvenile or something. He lived with his girlfriend, who was the older sister of boy D, or Yasue, while he was working as a title worker to save money to marry her. This girl dodged a freaking bullet, because him as a husband, no woman deserves that. I don't care who you are. But because the job was low paying, he decided to get back involved with gangsters or the Yakuza and continued committing more crimes, which are mostly sex crimes, which would be very important later on. What's caused his girlfriend break with him because nobody wants to date a rapist. Now, the thing about him being involved, the gangsters are saying that he wasn't involved or he was really part of Yakuza. Like that's my research. There were like different sayings. So I don't know which one is really which. You guys can go whichever one. But on November 25th, 1988, Minato and Minato or Hiroshi were running around Masaido with the intentions of robbing and raping local women. Because apparently that's what this gang did. They were known for actually like raping and robbing young women, which is again I don't know how they were still on the goddamn streets with this being known, but okay. At 8:30 p.m., they spotted Frigo. Like I said, they spotted Frigo who was riding her bike from after finishing her federal job under Hiroshi's orders. Meaning the Minato kicked Futura, kicked Junko off her bike. Sorry guys, like I said, I'm not very good at pronouncing names, so I may do that sometimes. So I am sorry for that. And then he ran away. Hiroshi, who used that to go up to this, pretend like he witnessed the attack and went up to Junko, offering her, the chance to walk home, kind of like make him look like the knight in the sign of armor, like, oh my god, I saw what happened. Oh no, are you okay? Here, you shouldn't walk home alone. Let me walk home with you. I'll walk you towards where you live. And then pretty much he said the talk to her. Now it was said that in school Hiroshi was the bully. He was because they say he was involved with Yakuza, that he was the bad guy. Everybody was afraid of him, and just everybody feared him, and nobody said no to him because they feared him. However, like it was reported that he did like ask out Juko because apparently he had a crush on her. Like I said, which makes sense. She was a pretty girl who was popular in school. She was very popular. Uh, and he asked her out, and like the good little girl, she said no because she knows not to go out with a dumbass. It just she never went to work that day, man. Uh, so it looked like he probably had something out for her after that, which is why he made Shinji do that. But instead of taking her to his home, he actually led to a nearby warehouse where they were like it reports that he lied about having Yakuza connections. Like that's why I said that sometimes it says like he really wasn't a Yakuza. Other times it's saying he just was lying about it. So I'm not sure or either one. But using him having Yakuza connections, he threatened her like scared her and then raped her in the warehouse and again in a nearby hotel. He threatened to kill her, I guess, if she told or if she ran. He threatened to kill her. Then when they in the hotel, Hiroshi called Shinji and his other friends, Joe Ogura and Yasui Watanabe, and begged them and bragged to them about the assault that he just did on poor Junko. And it says Joe reportedly asked Hiroshi to keep her in captivity to allow more people, namely them and like their group of friends, to continue uh the assault on her. Cause like I said, this gang had a history of assault and kidnapping other girls and stuff like that. So again, like I said, I don't know how they were on the street. Like these guys were effing terrible. Excuse my language. Like they were just freaking terrible. I just don't understand how these were guys. They said they were known for raping, being young women and kidnapping them off the streets. Which apparently like they were known because they let them go. Which again, like I don't understand. Like if if they were known, that means the witness that they let go had to go tell the police. Like, why didn't the police ever do anything about it? I mean, I understand they were minors, but they were kidnapping girls off the street. Like, they couldn't have put them in juvie. Like, I just don't understand when that was done. Is it around 3 a.m. Hiroshi took Future to a nearby park where Shinji, Joe, and Watanabe or Yosue were waiting. Again, I'm sorry if I'm saying their names backwards and stuff like that. They learned her home address from a notebook and her book bag, and then that's when threatened her, saying that they would send yakuza to kill her family members if she attempted to escape. Uh, then the boys took her to Shinji's house Isai, in the district of Adachi. It's the what was the word? It was the Yasan. Yes, I have it down below. I'm probably butchered, but Yasu Ayasi districts, the Ayasi districts of Adachi, uh, to Minato's house, which became the hangout of the game, and where most of the stuff that happened, where the rest of the things that happened to Jukuro took place in. It was in District Tokyo. On November 27, Fugo's parents actually contacted police about her disappearance. But I guess somehow the police, the guys found out that they were being investigated going on about her disappearance. So they forced her to call 911 to tell. I mean, they forced her to call her mother to tell her that she had run away, but was safe and staying with some friends. Now, not to count the parents or anything, but to me, when I read that, I was like, if I was the parent, and my daughter, who's a good girl, has a good head on her shoulders, who's smart, who has her life planned out, who knows she wants to do, who has never had trouble, because there was never any talk of them her having like a bad home life. It seems they had a good home. She had a good home, a loving family, with her parents and her brothers, normal families. So it's like, why would she all of a sudden just decide to just run away and stay with friends? Like, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense, like, to me, because when I heard that, I don't mean knew that something was wrong. Then they had her convince the parents to stop the police investigating. Which, again, to me, if I was the parents, I would have did that. But then I probably would, like, either like secret investigate on my own, because like I just knew something was wrong. There's no way my daughter, who was this normal, perfect, good girl, is just all of a sudden just like, let me just run away. But like, it just didn't make sense to me. Now, Shinji's parents were actually present in the house because it was their house. They lived there. So when they got home, they saw Juko. They told Juko to pretend to be his friend. But it will become clear that Shinji's parents were actually very afraid of him, because apparently about his connections to the Yakuza, and that he was actually very violent towards them. They were so afraid of him, in fact, that they would just let him do anything he wanted. It would never do anything to him, because they were just so afraid for their lives. Now, parents out there, if you're ever in a situation where you're so afraid of your son, your daughter, your whatever, that you would just let them do anything no matter what, call the police, get them taken somewhere, put them up for adoption. I don't know, do something, because like, no, there's no way a parent should ever be so afraid of their child that they would just cower in fear at the mere sight of them. No, like I could, like, that blew me away when I saw it. I was like, how could these two parents just be so scary? Like I mean, how could he scare his parents to the point that they would just ignore everything? They would ignore everything going on with them just because they were afraid of him. I guess, of him killing them. Which, with the way they act, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, on the night of November 28th, Hiroshi invited two other boys, Tetsuro and Koichi ENF, over to his house, over to Shinji's house. They went upstairs where Juko was sitting, where they said she was wearing a long sleeve T-shirt and a skirt that had that Hiroshi had stolen from a clothing store a few days prior. So, I mean, at least he had some clothing for her, right? He's such a fucking gentleman, you piece of. They drank cough. Apparently, they drank cough medicine, pretended it was drugs, and acted all high, because kids, we're wilding out, we're bad boys, cough medicine. So sorry. Uh, they did say Jugo did try to run away, screaming in fear, but Hiroshi grabbed her legs, and then her put a pillow over her face. They actually said the parents, because they were in the house at that time, were awake, and they heard her screaming. And when they went to Shinji's room to check it out, and they asked what it was. He told them it was nothing. They just proceeded to believe him and then go away because remember they were terrifying him. So if he said like, "Oh, nothing's going away, go back to bed," that's what they did because they were cowards. In my honest opinion, they were cowards. The Then the group proceeded to assault her during this time. They say that during this time of assault, she was actually in a state of unconsciousness, staring at the ceiling. So it, it's just crazy because like I said, when I read this, like it's just the way life can just change so drastically. Like all of a sudden, she's doing her normal thing, she's riding her back home from work, and all of a sudden now she's in this just horrible, horrible situation. And again, like mutual parents are, Masano's Shinji's parents are such pieces of crap. They're such garbage. Like to let that happen is like because they knew what was going on. They knew their son. Like after they screamed, they probably knew what was really happening, but they didn't do anything because they were so afraid. Like just absolute cowards. Like I blame them as much as I almost blame the boys. Like, I almost blame them as much as I blame the boys because you knew they were there and you didn't do anything because you were afraid. They knew she wasn't her girlfriend. They knew it because because like you heard that screaming and then I just to like let it go. Like come on, no. Now the group reportedly held Junko in Shinji's house for a period of 40 days or 44 days, which will become known as the 44 days of hell, where they beat, assaulted, and tortured her. They say she was assaulted either over 400 times by either 400 times or 500 times by Hiroshi and his friends, the boys, as well as other boys they knew, or even some Yakuza members. Like I said, that she may have been actually assaulted by 100 different men, and even says one time she was assaulted 12 times by 12 different men on a single day. Yeah, they, yeah. So I'm sorry, guys. It's just thinking about stuff they should usually answer. So why? But let's continue. They say when they weren't assaulted, they were forced to do terrible things like eat like cockroaches, masturbate in front of them, and drink her own urine. They made her dance naked in front of them while listening to music. They pretty much made her their puppet and their toy while they were there. And that's really the sad thing because it's like the whole thing was again that they were known for letting they were known for taking women, young girls, and assaulting them, but they also known for letting them go. So I just didn't understand why they just like I said, maybe it was because she rejected him. If that was the case, she rejected Hiroshi, the so called leader. But I don't understand. Just sorry, I don't understand like why they decided just to torture her like that. Like why they decided to keep her and treat her like a toy. I just don't get like there had to be a reason for. I guess like I said, it was either that she rejected him. They forced her to shave her pubic hair. They forced her to smoke multiple cigarettes and inhale paint. Now remember, this is a girl who never did any drugs, never did any cigarettes, and now she's being forced to do all these just terrible things for these demons amusements. Uh, she and she was also assaulted every day. Like I said, she was assaulted every day in both her vagina and her anus. Uh, they say she was roped. She was like raped. She was They say, oh my god, I'm sorry, guys. They actually said like after the man got done raping her, like the other man, like because sometimes they reports that it was just the the predators, the four guys and their two friends, or it was like I said, other guys and yakuza members, but they would actually urinate her on her after she was after after they were done. They also, like I said, torture her. They physically beat her, hitting her with golf clubs and bamboo sticks, bashing her face against the cement floor. They would hang her from the railings, and they would hang her from the railings, and beat her like a boxing bag. They would put fireworks up her anus and set them off, causing severe burns. They were there were reports there even that they actually had ripped her left nipple off with pliers. Uh, they were saying that she had dumbbells dropped on her stomach while she was on the floor and tied up. Uh, that they stuck all types of stuff in her vagina, from chicken skewers to scissors. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, guys. To scissors, as well as other items. Like it's almost like hard to describe, guys. What they were putting her through. Like this was truly in a way tortured. I think even hard the hardest of people would break at. Like I what they were doing was just terrible. Like I said, the reports that they pierced her breast with needles, that they burned her vagina, her clitoris with cigarettes and lighters, that a hot they actually put a hot a hot light bulb into her vagina and rubbed it until it's exploded. Uh, they say they see, of course, would lose consciousness because of these assaults, and then they would revive her by water. They also reports that she was pregnant, that she was discovered pregnant. That's also one of the reports that came up. Even though the damage to her uterus would be severe, with I mean, it makes sense that she would be discovered pregnant just because how many times she was assaulted by them or by other people as well. And they will also force her to sleep outside in the cold, in the cold, because they ain't with her next to. So like, it is just it is just true torture. They say after 30 days she was unable to properly urinate due to the attacks damaging her internal organs and the insurance of objects and burns from cigarettes and lighters. They say she begged them to kill her, but they just refused and continued to torture her. They say her leg was so badly damaged that it actually took her hours to drag herself downstairs to the toilet and to actually use it. They say she also sustained hearing loss, and they also another report saying they cut her breast. Like the stuff she went through was just, guys. I don't even know what to call it, but like it truly was pure hell. This is truly pure hell. Like cutting off her breast, like it. I don't know what you call that. What else do you call that? They say while a quarter through the ordeal, she could not breathe she could not breathe through her nose due to the combination of blood in in her her cavities or arteries. I may be saying that wrong. Her her traumatized organs refused to step through the water, so when she tried to drink, she would vomit. They barely fed her anyway, but when they did feed her or something, like she wasn't able to hold it down, so she would just violate it, so she would just throw it back up, which made her more dehydrated and more malnourished. And this would actually anger the guys because she would get on the carpet, which they would beat her for, which is like, like it's just evil. It is just pure evil. Like here she is, not able to control her own body, not even able to drink food or water, and yet they beat her because she throws up on the carpet because she like these guys had no soul whatsoever. It is I I don't know what to say about it besides like evil. Like what else do you call this but evil? Now it says actually the police were alerted twice to her condition and failed. Uh and failed to intervene. Though I don't know if this is true though. Like it may have just been one. Cause they actually say it's actually report one time there was a boy who had been invited over to Shinji's house by Hiroshi. Uh, Again, this is one of the other boys that they invited over to partake, who had I guess saw what was happening and then went home, told his brother. His brother told the parents. His parents called the police. The police went actually to Shinji's house reported, but when they knocked and they asked if there was a girl here, and the parents say no, apparently just left. Apparently they just accepted that answer, turned around and left. Like they left. Like what? Like when I read that, I was like, this can't be true. You telling me this is like the most worst case of like negligence police I've ever seen. Like you tell me, like you get a report from these parents saying that their son went over to this house and saw this girl being assaulted and tortured repeatedly by a bunch of different people, a bunch of different guys, was tortured, was beaten and bruised and everything. And as when you go over there, instead of asking, "Hey, can we look inside? Can we check him and just make sure to see? Can we get a look at the house?" Instead of doing that, you just decide to take the parents' word for it, just like, "Oh no, she's not here," and just leave. Like that's a little hard for me to believe that one because like was that really just that they just left with like just based on their words like, "Oh, there's nobody inside," like they couldn't be lying. Like I don't know, I don't know. They also said it was also said at one point she tried to call the police after the attackers after they were resting from drinking. She tried to call the police but was caught and punished by having her feet set on fire with burning fluids and lost bottles penetrating forced up her anus, causing even more injuries. God damn, just freaking animals. Uh, she said like her legs were badly and her legs were badly burned and bruised so much that it left her unable to walk. Uh, she couldn't hold anything on her hands because her bones were smashed to weights and her fingers were cracked. I believe that was actually more on the punishment for her trying to call the police, so she wouldn't be able to pick up anything. Uh, so she couldn't even like walk anymore. She pretty much had to crawl from this point on. Like I said, she could not urinate properly because all the damage that had been done to her from all the beatings and all the foreign objects inserted into her. And it says she was so damaged, like she took her hours to crawl downstairs to the bathroom. Her eardrums, like I said before, were also damaged. And it says her brain size was actually reduced. She had her brain was actually reduced to the size she was being so bad. By the end of summer, Junko was severely malnourished after being fed a small amount of food and water. Eventually, only on small amount of food, eventually only milk. So I guess no water. Sorry, only milk. Due to her severe injuries and infections and burns, she became able to go downstairs to the toilet. It became to flying to the room of Shinji's room. So she was no longer able to even walk to go to the toilet or even crawl to go to the toilet anymore. She was beaten so badly. It's things you think like you don't even want to be possible that could be done by a human. Like to hurt somebody so bad to the point they can't even crawl anymore. They said Junko's appearance was drastically altered from the previous after her attack, so her face was so swollen it was definitely make out her features. Her body was also severely crippled. It said it got to the point she was giving like a rotting flesh smell, like that of a corpse, which actually made the boys lose sexual interest in her. The Rizzo guys and anybody else that was there, which I guess is actually maybe like it's hard to find any good in this situation at all. And like I want to try to say that maybe that's a good thing, but is it really like she was hurt so bad that she was smelling like a rotten corpse? So no, can't find any good in this. And because of that, they said they actually reported went out and took another girl who they raped or assaulted because they couldn't want to assault Juko anymore. Now this next thing is interesting. It says on January 4, 1989. Apparently, after losing a game, Mahanjiao, which is like a Chinese, I hope I'm saying it right, probably not, which is a Chinese game which involves a set of 114 tiles based on Chinese characters and symbols being played players begin by receiving 13 tiles, I believe, and then a player draws and discards until the tiles they complete a legal hand using the fourth draw tile using a fourth draw title from like a set or a pair. So like it's something like chess for what I understand, but like it's not as like for what while looking up it says like it's like chess. It's not as hard as chess, but like it's hard to learn. I also say it's like unlike chess, like it does involve a bit more bit of luck. They actually I believe they actually compared it to it wasn't blackjack, it was some type of game, maybe or roulette, it was some type of game like that. But apparently on January 4th, 1989, after losing a game of this, Shinji decided to vent his anger on Jukuro. They poured lighter fluids on her thighs, arms, and face and stomach and set her on fire once again. Jukuro apparently made an attempt to pull herself out of the fire, but like I don't know what she could have really done. Like she couldn't even crawl to go to the bathroom. Like how was she gonna pull out the fire? Like the most she could do was try to like just roll, I guess, but that wouldn't have worked. She was probably too weak to even do that. They also punched her. They did a candle and dripped hot wax in her face, and placed two soap candles on her eyelids and forced her to drink her own urine. Again, they continued to just beat her beard. Like I said, they kicked her. She fell on a stereo and collapsed into a fit of convulsions. Uh, and it was so bad that she was bleeding profusely and pus was starting to emerge from her infectious burns. But the boys, being the animals that they are, actually covered their hands in plastic bags and still continued to beat her, and then dropped an iron exercise ball on her stomach several times. They said this was the last attack, lasted over 2 hours, which ultimately killed Jukuro. Uh damn. Like I can't like this girl had no rest. No rest. Like they never let her rest for a minute. She was constantly tortured day in, day out, every second, every minute. It was just constant torture. And it no, this story is so sad because it's like this little girl with such a bright future and it's like she had to go in just such a disgusting way. And the fact that the last 2 hours of her life were just nothing but just absolute pain and misery, it's horrible to think about. Now there is another report saying that she actually played against them and actually won, actually beat them in the game. That's why they were mad. But I don't get that because if she was so injured to the point she could even crawl or move and her brain was missing and she was bleeding and all that, like if she was this messed up, how does she have the strength to sit there and play manja? Like how does she have the strength to do anything? They how does he have the strength to do anything? Like I don't like for like I said, this game is a game of like chance, luck, and some bit of strategy. Like I have no idea. Even if she didn't know how to play, how she would be able to play in that state and actually beat them. She would have been operating in pure luck. So that's why to me, I think the one actually with him losing a game night before Hiroshi and then coming home mad and taking the anger on her actually makes more sense to her beating them all in the game when she could barely even open her eyes. Like I don't like that. It just makes sense to me. Like you guys don't know what you think, but that just makes more sense to me. Than rather she somehow managed to beat them all in this game. They even made her stand up one point while they were beating her with the bags in their hands and like beat her with a stick because they didn't want to touch her. Like it's just crazy. Then it's just like less than 24 hours after her death, they said that Senti's brother actually called to tell him that Frida appeared to be dead, that she finally had died from murders. They said if afraid of being penalized for murder, the group wrapped her in a body in a blanket, shoved her into a travel bag. They put her body in a 50 U.S. gallon, 210-liter drum and filled it with concrete around 8 p.m. They loaded it, eventually disposed the drum into the concrete truck in Cutto. Kato. I'm sorry if I pronounce these wrong. Kaito Tokyo, or I think it's Kato. During her captivity, Furuta prayer Juga mentioned several times that she had regretted not being able to watch the final episode of Totoban Dragonfly, which was actually her favorite. So, the weird thing about this show, this is a show actually about a kid who is like a yakuza and is like trying to right wrongs and like the way he thinks it's like a drama type of show. And I just thought it was very weird that like you have the guy is the guy of her favorite, apparently her favorite show was a Yakuza, and here she is. The last moments of life were pure hell, made by Yakuza or claimed to be Yakuza, whatever. Like it, I just thought that was so weird. But they said they found a videotape of it. Hiroshi did and placed it in a trial bag. He says in court later that he did that not because he pitied or felt sorry for what he did, because how could a demon feel sorry? You have to have a soul and a heart for that. But because he didn't want to return as a ghost and haunt him, I hope she haunted your ass to hell. I hope she hunt you right now, y'all. Oh, sorry, it's like just the bastard, like not because he was sorry or felt even the shreddest bit of pity. Was it because like, oh, I didn't want her to come back as a ghost, so I just put it in the bag. Like just terrible. On January 23rd, 1989, Hiroshi and Jotaro and Jojo, not Jotaro, I said Jotaro and Joe Ogura were arrested for assaulting a 9-year-old girl who they kidnapped in December. On March 29th, two police officers came to interrogate them as a woman underwear had been found at their address. Had found out their address. During the interrogation, Hiroshi, the leader, apparently believed that one of the officers was aware of his crime and his accountability in Juko's murder, thinking that Joe actually had snitched. He told the police where to find Jukuro's body. Now, the funny about this, the police were actually confused because they were actually referring to a murder of a different woman, and apparently her 7-year-old son that occurred 9 day prior to Jukuro's abduction, which apparently the case even to this day remains unsolved. So they actually weren't even there for them. They just screwed up and they got scared, which I wouldn't say they had a guilty conscience, but maybe just like the dread of what they did and knowing what they did, like it was eventually going to catch up to him, made him just fine, just tell. But apparently, the police found a drum containing Juko's body the following day. She was done by via fingerprints on April 1st, 1989. Joe Ogura was arrested for a separate sexual assault. These guys just never quit, and was then rearrested for Juko's murder. The arrest of Watanabe Shinji, and then apparently Shinji's brother as well as other accomplices who participated in Shinji's sorry guys, in Jukuro's abuse, including Tetsuro and Arara, were charged with after their DNA was found inside the victim's body. The identities of the board were sealed by the courts as they were all juveniles at the time. However, journalists from the Sukin Busan, again, I'm probably pronouncing that, which is a magazine, discovered their identities and published them, saying that due to the gravity of the crime, they did not believe they deserved to have their identities upheld. And I completely agree. Dispose those demons. They did not deserve to have their identity hid. Like, no, not for what they did. I completely agree with the magazine for doing that. They say that all four boys pled guilty to committing body injuries that resulted in death rather than murder. So they were trying to commit to a lesser charge because they were, again, like we said, bastards. They said they faced the sentence of the adults, even though they were still minors. They're still minors, and they still said the sentences they got were low. They said Hiroshi was get sentenced to 20 years. The leader, he was 18. So I think he was actually like, I don't know, back then in Japan, 18 was kind of like legal age. I don't know if it is even now in Japan, but he was sentenced to 20 years. Shinji was sentenced to 5 to 9. Joe was sentenced to 8 years. And Watanabe served 5 to 7. Though, like they say it's why I believe that Yakuza has something to do with it. I guess they never really caught any Yakuza guys that were really involved besides like the boys if they really were Yakuza. And also said they believe that it had been elsewhere if the boys had just been 1 or 2 years older, they would have been dealt capital punishment. So maybe even like 18 is not the legal age back then. Like I don't know. Some of you guys tell me down below. They said the judge increased the punishment for two of the boys, because they had tried to appeal their sentence. They said in July 1990, a lower court sentenced Hiroshi, who was the alleged leader of the crime, to 7 years in prison. He tried to appeal this, but the Tokyo High Court judge Rinju Yasani, yeah, I'm probably butcher that name. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I probably been butchering names the entire video. I'll try my best. Renju Yasashi sentenced him to additional 3 years in prison. So that's where we get the 20 years from. They said this is the 20 years was the second longest sentence given to Japan before life imprisonment. So like he as soon as he got the max, he was 18 at the murder of the crime. They say Hiroshi's mother reportedly paid 50 million won or I think it was like that's like 500 and 4,500 in U.S. money and compensations by civil court after selling their family home apparently. Because apparently like the I believe the Junko's parents like because of the low sentence that they were given actually ended up suing the family and winning in court, and that's why they had to do that. No, it wasn't. It was that. Maybe that wasn't me until actually. Hold on. They say he was denied parole actually in 2004. He was released from prison in 2009. They say on January 2013 he was rearrested for fraud. But due to offensive evidence, he was released without charge. They say a month later, Noburo Mino, which used to be Shinji, who were originally seated for the 6 year sentence, was sentenced to 5 to 9 by the same judge. He was 16 at the time of the murder. They said Shinji's parents and brothers were not charged. Jugo's parents were dismayed and sentenced by their daughter's killers and wanted to civil suit against the parents. So it was Shinji's parents they wanted to civil suit against, so whose homes the crime had committed. That they didn't do anything about. And they said after release, Shinji moved in with his mother in 2018. Mito was rearrested again for after trying to beat a 30-year-old man with a metal rod and slash his throat with a knife. All right, guys. Now on to Watanabe. He was originally sentenced to 3 to 4 years, which he upgraded as well to 5 to 7 years. He was of course 17 at the crime. Joe Ogura served 8 years in juvenile prison before he was released in 2004. He was 17 at the time of the murder. That's the crazy thing. All these guys were just so young. They weren't even adults yet, still just kids, but yet they were capable of things that even hardened criminals I don't think would be capable of doing. Some of them. After his relief, he took his family name Kamasaku. They would say, and was when he was adopted by a supporter of his. I don't know who would adopt him. I guess somebody adopted him. Who was his supporter? Like what's sick? Like this dude, like how do you? I don't know. I don't know. Like if me go in the foster care and say, hey, let me get that boy right there. The one out just in that huge murder, awful case. That I want him. I'm a huge supporter and everything. Like I don't know who that person was. Like you're a sick bro. Like how he actually had a supporter of any that was not actually his like real parents, because like I don't know if he was in foster care or something like that, because there wasn't a lot of information on him. Maybe he was, but like the fact he has support to me is just crazy. Like I don't know who can possibly do that. It also said that he actually had boasted about his role in the kidnapping, torture, and assault of Junko when he was in juvie. So yeah, he's a piece of garbage. Like these guys are just awful people just from the get go. Like there's no redeeming quality about them at all. It said in July 2004 he was rearrested for assaulting Ishino, which is who was a crazy she thought his girlfriend may be involved with. The fact that he had a girlfriend surprises me. That anybody wants to be with him by actual their will. It says Ogo tracked him down, beat him, and shoved him into his truck. Because once again, like these guys, oh my god, man, like how I just don't understand like how these guys were walking free. Like before this all happened, they were a known gang of rapers. They had connections with the Yakuza. Either they had connections or they were actually Yakuza, something like that lines. Like something of that lines. The fact they weren't in jail, weren't being heavily watched all the time, just freaking blows me. But maybe Japan's different. I've never been in Japan, especially back then, so I don't know. But it just blows the fact they were able to walk around like that, and that this even would not to happen. Because I'd have had them boys somewhere locked up. I don't care when. Immediately. Joe, they says Joe then drove Ishino from Adachi to his mother's bar in Misido and Masaido, where he allegedly beat him for hours, 4 hours during that time. He reportedly threatened to kill the man, telling him that he had killed before. He knows to get away with it, and, whatever. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison for assaulting him, and has since been released. Joe's mother apparently veganized Juko's grave, stating that she had ruined her son's life. You like that pissed me off to no extent. Like she ruined your son's life. Your son still has his life at least. Jugo's gone after some of the most horrid things that no person should ever have to go through. And this bitch has the nerve to sit here and vandalize the talk about she ruined her son's life. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like there's no way I could have been like the parents of Junko or the brother, and then not I'd have been in jail. That's all I'm gonna say. I'd have been in jail. God knows I'd have been in jail because there's bro, oh my god. Uh, let's just let's just keep going. They also reports that he had deleted his father's saving, which was money was intended to provide restitution into which was planned to be given to Juno's family from the case they won. But he, of course, like the little bitch that ambassador he is, spent the money that was meant to go to Juko's family by buying goods and consuming and by buying goods and consuming a number of luxury like items and stuff like that. So like pretty much he spent the like there is truly like that's why I was like I don't know how Joel had a supporter. Like I don't understand. Like I don't get it. How could you report somebody? How could you report somebody like this? How could you even care for something like this for a monster? Like this is a demon. Like just no doubt about it to me. This is a straight up demon. Oh my god, man. And also that made believe the sentences for crimes were too light, which I think so too. Another thing is they actually say Juko's mother actually had to go to therapy for because she suffered a lot of trauma after hearing all the stuff that happened to her daughter. Uh, she had to be involved in extensive psychiatric treatment afterwards because after she happened, what's I mean, like I think that's the fear of of any parent or just anybody for someone that you love and care about to see them have to go in such a event in such a horrible just horrible way like it, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what I would even. Oh my god. Mm. Junko Furuta was held on the second April 2nd, 1989. One of her friends' memorial just states, Junko-chan, welcome back. I never imagined that we would see you again in this way. You must have been in so much pain, so much suffering. The happiness we all made for the school festival looking really good. Looks really good on you. Or the happy, the Henry. We will never forget you. I've heard that the principal presents you with a graduation certificate, so we can graduate together off of it. You can try. There's no more pain, no more suffering. Rest in peace. Uh, they said Junko's future employer, for the company she was going to work for, actually had presented her parents with the uniform she would have wore if she had accepted. The uniform was placed in her casket. Her graduation school, her casket at graduation, the school person presented her with a high school diploma, which was given to her parents. The location near her body was discovered has been developed since. It is now I think it's a Waksu Park. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butcher these names, but yeah, guys. So that is the sad and just terrible story of Junko Furuta. Man, this story has to be one of the worst things that I've ever read, and it's decades old by now, but it's like you read something that you just can't help but feel for this poor child that was kidnapped by these monsters. There's a quote. There is a quote by a Chinese philosopher. I believe his name is Exun Exun Zen. Exun Zen. I'm sorry for pronouncing the name, but I have the name below. And it says human nature is evil and goodness is caused by intentional activity. Meaning goodness is caused by the individual actively doing something. And it's hard to argue that human nature is evil when you hear something like this, because these boys, these not even men, did some of the most horrific things that a human could do to somebody for no apparent reason. I mean, besides maybe if you do think she had turned him down or not, but like even still, like to do that to somebody because what they want to go out with you like that. That is nothing but evil. Like there's no other word you can describe that other than just pure evil, just pure evil to the core. Because how could you sit there and just like and possibly justify that, and possibly say that like and possibly, I mean not justify, possibly say call that anything other than just evil. There's the argument, the whole nature versus nurture thing. Are you born evil or are you just made by environments? And with this case, it seems these guys were just born evil. They were just born terrible. They were known to be hurting and assaulting women even before that. They were just evil, evil people. And God knows like what they're doing to the day of that. You look at the worst characters and some of the worst people we ever created in fiction, like the Joker, Hannibal Lecter. And you look at real life people like Hitler or Vlad the Impaler, and you just like it just makes you question just the darkness that is in human nature, and that there is some type of where you want to call it evil or not, there's something there that just it people just choose to go the worst route possible and become the worst version of themselves possible. uh and it's so funny because when we make up all these monsters, these demons, and these horrific characters, but it's like none of that is anything compared to humanity's true dark nature, like to humanity's dark nature. Like it's nothing. There's this anime, a little bit of an off thing, guys, but this anime called Usually Go. It's about a kid who is dying because of spirit detective. Go watch it, great show. But there is a arc called the Black Tape arc, and there's this black tape that is deep in the bowels of spirit world or heaven. I guess you could call it in the show. And it's a black tape of every single evil deed that humans ever done over a millennia, and it is so bad, it is so horrible, it is so atrocious that watching it makes humans go insane. And to me, I look at that, I'm like that is like that is human evil. That is like that truly is. We make up all these monsters, all these demons and stuff like that, all these scary looking beings, but it's like all these scary creatures are nothing compared to what we can do, and honestly scares you sometimes. How we can even sometimes glorify evil things, like a lot of these horror films are out there that people love to watch. A lot of these about these terrible beings and them doing terrible things, people glorify it, people praise it, and people love it. Like it's kind of the dark side of humanity when you think about it a little bit. That there is like dark nature inside of us that just makes us do and create just terrible and awful things. And again, like I said, with these kids, like what else could you say about them besides the fact that they were just pure evil? I mean, CJ's own parents were terrified of him. They were so terrified that they'd rather let an innocent girl suffer than do anything about it because they were so scared. Like these kids are nothing but evil, and there's no other way you can put it. To me, there's no other way you could put it but other than calling them just what they are: pure, absolute, just evil, and their actions show that. But Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. That's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about the case? This is the first time hearing it. If it's not, what do you think about it? How I do? This is my first time, so I probably messed up a lot, but I appreciate everybody who watched the end. And just let me know your thoughts about humans and and human nature down below. I did my little spill up here. Let me know your thoughts down below. How you feel about the crime. Do you feel they should have been executed? Because I feel they should have been executed, kids or not. What they did to me like goes past any age limit. Like at that point, you do stuff like that. But let me know down below. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you get subscribe and share. If you guys want to do more true crime stuff, look at more cases. Let me know stories down below. Give me the darkest, worst stories that you can. Let me know. I want to read them. Let me know. If you guys want to see me do more of this, make sure to share the video, guys. Will get out there, and yeah, thank you for watching. Rest in peace, you girl. I know you were in a much better place now, and you're no longer suffering. And to those guys, if you're still alive, I hope you're having your life as hell. But anyway, guys, I cracks them out. Peace.